Alright, so why did I buy this game? I mean, why is it so fun? How is it this game manages to be so simple and yet so great? Well, what's up gamers, Dreamcastguy here, and today we're going to be talking about new Pokémon Snap. As many of my subscribers know, I haven't been the biggest Poke fan over the course of the last couple years. While I did grow up playing a lot of Red, Blue, and Yellow, and I certainly love stuff like Silver, Platinum, there's been a lot of very good Pokémon games, but for the last couple years, I've not exactly been a Pokemaniac. There's a lot of Pokémon I've flat out never heard of, some Mega Evolutions and weird freaking transformations that I don't even know exist, and yet I got curious because of new Pokémon Snap. I decided to buy this game because, honestly, I was kind of wondering what it's all about, how this game can be fun with such a basic premise. Well, surprisingly, this game is great. It is fun, and let me start things off with just a really bold statement. I think I enjoyed this more because I don't know some of these Pokemon. Every single time I go through these stages, I was actually discovering creatures I've never seen before in my life, and that definitely added to the excitement of it. But let's try and objectively break this game down, looking at the goods, the bads, and why I think that this definitely works. Now, starting things off, what is this? Pokémon Snap is basically an on-rail shooter with a grading system. You go through these different biomes, from arid deserts to under-ocean environments and stuff, and you try and photograph these Pokemon existing in their natural habitats, just seeing them hang out, play with each other, and sometimes even attack each other. And so your goal is to try and be basically a scientist, to see how they behave when they're not just being pocket monsters. What do they do when they're just hanging out? What do they do when they're just taking a nap? And this is part of the fun of it, is that we get a chance to be a passive observer to this really unique fictional universe. Now, thankfully, you do have more tools than just a standard camera in this. Now, obviously, first and foremost, we have this practically magical car that's able to drive around pretty much anywhere, and even at times fly. Like, you know what, that's pretty great. And while we're inside this vehicle, you're able to do stuff like throw apples to wake a Pokemon up, or feed them, or sometimes just see how much you can bait them closer to try and get a good shot. You can play Pokemon music that'll actually make them sometimes dance or react, or even just do an area-wide scan to try and find other hidden Pokemon that might be tucked outside your line of sight. When you manage to draw these creatures out or get them in a very unique position, here's when you need to start snapping those pictures. But you can't just shoot wildly. Like, you do have a finite number of pictures for every single run through these environments, but additionally, you need to worry about your composition. You need to make sure that they're in frame, looking happy, doing something freaking cool. Like, you can't just take a picture of a very blurry freaking Daffy Duck looking dude and manage to get 1,000,000 points. You need to make sure that you're taking an accurate photograph, because this is all graded at the end of the course by this Pokemon professor. Now, he's obviously trying to study this stuff. He's in this very interesting environment called the Lental region, and he's trying to basically study how these Pokemon are going to react. And while you're doing these studies, he wants the most accurate data possible. Now, here's the thing. There is an aspect to this game that cracks me up. They've brought back a jerky rival. Now, back in the day, one of the things I definitely loved about the oldest Pokemon games is Gary. Like, it was so funny to me to have this really jerky kid following you around, just constantly up in your business. Well, they've brought in a jerky rival. It's another kid who's competing to be like a master Pokemon freaking photographer. It's so funny to me. Every time you manage to snap that perfect photograph, he cries like, "Oh my god, I could have got that shot." And it makes those really great platinum freaking 3-star shots even more satisfying. But this brings me to the rating aspect. Let's talk a bit more about one of the more weird aspects of this game, which is definitely the grindiness of it at times. So whenever you finish each of these stages, you go back to the lab and have these pictures sorted into separate groups. These are the different ratings. Now, 1 star is basically people just hanging out. Sleeping Pokemon, people sitting on a branch, whereas 2 stars is typically people just doing very light activity, eating, dancing, doing something very minor, whereas 3 and 4 star, these are the incredibly unique classifications. These are like getting a Machamp in the middle of a flex, or managing to get a Magikarp right as it's jumping out of the water. This stuff is just worth way more points, sometimes thousands of points, and so because of it, you need to make it a point to try and get these very, very high rated ones because they give you experience points. Now here's the biggest thing I definitely do not like about the game, and I wish it was definitely, well, improved or maybe just more transparent. There is a lot of grinding in this. Now earlier I mentioned that there is multiple stages. Technically there's like over 20 levels in this game, but some of them don't really feel like levels. Sometimes you'll go through the forest during the day and then go through the forest during the night. Like these shouldn't be counted as two separate stages. But here's the weirdness is that you have to do these stages again and again. Like almost every single course I had to run through. In order to beat the game, I actually had to do every course about 5 times because this levels up, this finds additional Pokemon, and as you raise your research rankings, you get a chance to basically see additional special discoveries in each area. So like the first time you go through a spot, alright, it's just a desert. There's a couple Pokemon wandering around, like a cool Sandshrew or something. And then once you've ranked up, now you can start to see additional creatures, extra paths. So it makes it where there's definitely a lot of repetition in this. Now that itself, I don't necessarily have a problem with. My problem is that unlocking new stages, getting a chance to go to the other islands, see the other environments, it's just not clear. Like the game never tells you directly, hey, you need to rank up this. Oh, hey, you need to go there. It's just kind of this ambiguous thing. So sometimes I would just get deadlocked where I'd ranked up everything in all the stages. I'd done a big like underwater boss battle, but then I don't know where to go next. And so times like that, I wish that the Pokemon professor would give you at least vague hints. I wish that he would just come out and say, oh man, I'm a professor and I sure wish you'd go back to the forest to find more freaking Caterpies, but he doesn't. This game is fun, but it definitely feels more contained. It feels more short. It's something I can definitely enjoy for a weekend, but if you're hoping this to be as big and crazy and long as a standard Poke experience, it's definitely not. But if you're looking for something that's just some lighthearted fun, this is definitely that. It is a good time. It's bright, it's colorful, it certainly has some pretty dang good graphics for being on the Nintendo Switch, and I certainly enjoyed my time going through the Lental region. Okay, so we've heard some good and some bad, but let's go to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving new Pokemon Snap an 8 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Also, if you happen to own a PlayStation 5 or you're curious about the PS5, I did do a gigantic review about Returnal yesterday. It has been a fun week with a freaking heck of a lot of gaming inside it. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for subscribing. It's been a very good time. More stuff coming very, very soon, including a giant review of Resident Evil Village. Oh yeah, it's finally time. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.